This is the kind of movie that just speaks to my soul. It's real, it's grounded, it has a perfect balance between heartache and humor. When I come across movies like this, it makes it feel like these movies were made just for me. I I know that that's crazy talk, but it's the best way to describe it. Let's talk about it. Tumbledown is a dramatic romantic comedy from 2016 that stars Jason Sudeikis and Rebecca Hall. And while sure, the romantic part is about the two leads in that typical cliche way, it's also about the pure romance of art. Whether it's like a song, a poem, or a book, or whatever, romance is on display in this movie, and it's like the pinnacle achievement. Rebecca Hall plays Hannah, the widow of a musician who only had one album, but it was an album that was widely received and positively reviewed due to its timeless quality of each and every song on the album. Jason Sudeikis plays Andrew, a university professor who absolutely loved the music and is doing his best to write a nonfiction book about the musician. Their paths cross and they ultimately end up deciding to work on a biography together, through some pretty strained and very comedic introductory scenes. Now, this could have just been a very, very by the books and simple romantic comedy about these two characters who happen to come together, bond over a similar passion, and live happily ever after. But the movie goes above and beyond and shows what it's like to truly be obsessed with someone. And I don't mean obsessed in that creepy, unhealthy way. And I also know that the word obsessed usually has negative connotations applied to it, but just come with me. If you have ever truly loved someone, then you absolutely know what I and this awesome movie are saying. Hannah is suffering from the loss of her husband, and her obsession with him, and more so her obsession with that situation, is tormenting her on multiple levels. She misses him, she feels like she can't live up to some imaginary standards of his that she has created, and she's also dealing with the fact that she feels in a selfish, roundabout way like he abandoned her when he died, and now she has to live this life that they wanted to build together alone. That's some real deep hurt there, and Rebecca Hall's performance is spot on. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the character is constantly down in the dumps and singing the blues. It's a great balance of the sorrow that she's feeling and the genuine attempt that she is putting forth to try and move on with her life. Jason Sudeikis as Andrew is excellent, but I think he generally is. There's not a lot of movies that he's been in where I'm like, that was a bad performance. His performance in Tumbledown isn't a standout one, but it's a solid one that works exactly as it should in the confines of this story. He is accused of trying to capitalize on the situation on multiple occasions, but the more that we get to know Andrew, the more we genuinely believe his intentions are pure when it comes to his desire to want to make sure that someone like Hunter, Hunter is the name of the deceased husband. Whoops, did I not mention that? He wants to make sure that Hunter's memory and musical talent doesn't get lost in the absolute sea of musical talent. And yeah, of course, the relationship between Andrew and Hannah ultimately ends up in a place of romance, but I was glad that the movie sort of pushed that right to the end of the story. By not having it at the forefront the entire time, I felt like it allowed things to flow a lot more organically, and that ultimately ended up making everything feel like it made more sense. It was all handled beautifully with compassion and rock-solid performances. It's like a little slice of life. Heightened and glamorized for sure, but that's what movies do, right? That's why we love them. There is also an assortment of supporting characters that fit pretty well into the story that was being told, and sometimes these characters can come across a little bit obnoxious, but here, none of them overstay their welcome. They honestly just help flesh out the town that Hannah is living in and made it feel like Anytown, USA, which is also something that I really enjoyed. Most of the movie takes place in small town Maine with a lot of wilderness around, so obviously that was going to appeal to me. It's a very simple yet kind story that is filled with heart and will speak to a multitude of people on so many different emotional levels. I had this one on my Amazon watch list for like the longest time, just based on Jason Sudeikis being on the poster and being like, well, I like him, I'll check it out. I'm super glad that I finally got around to checking it out. Tumbledown gets a 9 out of 10, easy, and I've already thoroughly talked about my positives, so no need to rehash that. As much as I was okay with the romance between the two characters, what would have truly nudged this movie into a 10 out of 10 for me would have been if they had completely left that out. If these two people were able to learn and support each other and become better human beings just from interacting with each other without having to be in love with one another, I think that would have made a much more solid story. But hey, I get it. That's just me. Oddly enough, I watched this back to back with Demonic. I thought I was going to end up doing a review of that movie, but no. As much fun as it might be, that movie sucked. Bored the shit out of me. I honestly, kid you not, almost fell asleep on more than one occasion while watching Demonic. And I thought for sure I'd be heading to bed as soon as the credits rolled. But I thought, oh, let's just see. I'll watch this Tumbledown movie now. It's been on my list forever. And it perked me right up. Who knows? Maybe that's just the mood I was in. Or maybe I'm over crappy sci-fi horror movies and just want a little bit more slices of real life kinds of movies. So how about you guys? Have you seen Tumbledown? Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Tumbledown is a dramatic/romantic comedy from 2016 that stars Jason Sudeikis and Rebecca Hall. Okay, calm down.